Benny and Ruby's Great Bake-Off. Benny Bear and Ruby Rabbit were the best of friends and the fiercest of rivals, especially when it came to baking. So, when the annual Woodland Bake-Off was announced, they knew they had to enter. Together. Sort of. "We'll both bake a cake," Benny declared, wagging a flour-dusted paw. "Then let the best baker win." "Deal," Ruby grinned, tying her apron tight. "Prepare to taste defeat, Benny." The forest clearing buzzed with excitement as woodland creatures gathered for the event. Tables were lined with mixing bowls, ingredients, and colourful frosting tubs. At the centre sat the guest judge, Sir Hogsley the Hedgehog, known far and wide for his impossibly high standards and deep dislike of soggy bottoms. Benny chose to bake a triple chocolate fudge cake. He mixed with mussels, stirred with soul, and poured with precision. Ruby, ever the creative spirit, went for a towering lemon raspberry chiffon, adding zest and flair like a true artiste. Everything was going smoothly until Benny, searching for extra flavour, grabbed a glittery blue jar from the spice rack. "Magical yeast? Huh, never seen this before," he muttered. Ruby, not to be outdone, grabbed a bottle labelled Essence of Enchantment and added 3 generous drops to her batter. Moments later, their cakes were in the ovens, rising beautifully. That's when things got strange. Benny's cake began to thump, thump, thump. Ruby's cake started to glow. Then, boom! With a puff of sparkling smoke, both oven doors burst open. Benny's chocolate cake sprang out, sprouting tiny arms and legs made of licorice. Ruby's lemon chiffon twirled through the air, ribbons of raspberries streaming behind it like a ballerina's skirt. "Oh no!" Benny gasped. "We baked them too well!" The cakes began to dance. "Catch them!" Ruby shouted as her chiffon twirled past, giggling in a sing-song voice. "Ooh! La la!" Benny lunged for his cake, but it slid through his paws with a sticky splorp. "I think mine's trying to escape." Frosting tubes popped open and began shooting icing like fountains. The vanilla went rogue, frosting Benny's ears. The strawberry piped a moustache onto Sir Hogsley, who squealed in surprise. "My quills, I demand order," the hedgehog barked, shaking off sprinkles. Chaos erupted. A bowl of cookie dough rolled off a table, grew eyes, and began bouncing like a rubber ball. Muffin tins clanged like cymbals. Marshmallows formed a conga line. Ruby dived beneath a flying bundt cake. "We need to undo the magic." "How?" Benny ducked a whipped cream blast. "Maybe if we rebake them, use regular ingredients this time." They herded the mischievous cakes into a giant mixing bowl. The cakes squealed and giggled. "No, I love dancing," cried the chiffon. "I was going to start a band," moaned the fudge cake. "Too bad," Benny said. Back in the bowl, chocolate legs. With teamwork, elbow grease, and a very determined spatula, Benny and Ruby remixed the cakes, sans magic, and popped them into the oven again. Silence fell. All eyes stared at the oven. Finally, ding! 2 beautiful, non-dancing, perfectly still cakes emerged. Sir Hogsley straightened his frosting-covered bow tie and cleared his throat. At last. "Now then, let's taste." He sampled Benny's rich, velvety fudge cake and let out a low hum of appreciation. He tried Ruby's tart yet airy lemon chiffon and closed his eyes in bliss. After a long pause, he spoke. "Both cakes are delicious." Benny and Ruby held their breath. "I hereby declare a tie." "A tie?" Benny blinked. "A tie?" Ruby gasped. Sir Hogsley nodded solemnly. "You two may be rivals, but clearly your chaos and cooperation make for something quite magical, without the actual magic, of course." Everyone cheered. The rest of the bake-off turned into a celebration, with dancing, no cakes this time, singing, and plenty of sweet treats. Later that evening, Benny and Ruby sat under a tree munching on leftover cake. "Next year," Ruby said, licking frosting off her paw, "we read the labels first." Benny grinned. "And maybe just a pinch of chaos." They laughed, already dreaming up their next wild baking adventure.